Hello, this is Dominic from the Jack and Dom Radio Show, a weekly sports radio program, and although we broadcast on professional hardware, we do record our show mostly on my laptop, and sometimes I don't press record right when we start. Some shows will start right in the middle of a topic. Regardless, this show is a work of love and passion for sports with raw and transparent opinions between the two of us. So I hope you all enjoy.
But yeah, it's low. It's not something of that you want in a locker room. And I think that's part of the problem. And I want to speak to the players directly and saying that, it ultimately comes down to you guys. Like personally, it comes down to you guys. Whether or not you want to actually do something with your career here. Like, what are you doing here? I want you to ask yourself that question, first of all. And as an athlete myself, I played basketball in high school. My last year that I played, we only won one game. And it was, by the way, the first game of the season. We lost the rest of the games the rest of the season. And yeah, it doesn't feel good. But a lot of my teammates just basically just gave up. I didn't give up. I know there were two other teammates that didn't give up. Those were, by the way, the teammates that wanted to join my senior year of basketball, my senior year, and everyone else just quit, even though they were still in my school. So, my goodness. I did not necessarily rehearse. You don't usually rehearse rants because they don't turn it into rants, but this is, I guess, just coming from the heart. You guys got to do something. And I don't see it. The rest of the student body doesn't see it. Your friends don't see it. I've talked to some of you guys. I know you guys just I don't know what the word is. Want to play anymore? Like it's like I said, sadness and despair. And if you guys want to do something about that, especially against Roosevelt, that has to change now. And my goodness, like, what are you going to do? Now, the coaches, okay. You guys had all off season before the season began to fix whatever problems you guys had, okay? Had all off season. You went 0-11 last year, and you're like, all right, you know what you're supposed to do? Get down to work, get your players ready, and let's get the season going. And you guys end up looking worse this season. After high school, Jack, I don't know if I ever told you this. Right after high school, I went to Lansing Community College. And my first semester, I took 4 classes. I failed all 4 classes my first semester. But do you know what I did after that semester? I reorganized, especially myself. I reorganized, got back to work, retook those classes, and I passed those classes that next semester. Because do you know what would have happened if I failed again all those classes that next semester?
Yeah.
Well, what? I would have gotten kicked out.
Right.
I would have gotten kicked out of school if I failed all of my classes again the next semester. And by the way things are looking, you guys look worse, especially in offense. An offense, by the way, that looks something straight out of 1955. I don't know.
And you're not
what.
Michigan. You can't run it right.
You can't. You can't pass it deep. Not very consistently. The mid-range passes are also inconsistent. I don't know why you guys ain't throwing it short. I mean, that's possibly like the only thing you guys are doing, if ever. And guys, this is 2024. All right. When it comes to the triple option plays that you guys run, a decent team is going to figure out how to check on every single player on your triple option. Okay. This isn't 1955 anymore. You can't get away with that. And like Jack said, you're not Michigan. You can't brute force your way down the field, okay? I wish I could use the audio bit from, oh gosh, what was that? It was a movie, but it's a lady that calls the coach and it was like, run the ball. What are you doing? Run the ball. Well, you guys can't even run the ball. and what makes me very upset, which, by the way, I could have done this rant on week 2, but I talked to many people, including my dad, who I love very much and is a big football guy, played football in high school, played JUCO ball. He was like, all right, hold off, wait a few weeks, maybe it's some rust, and we'll and see what happens. Well, we lose again to a D3 school. By the way, that D3 school has no one on scholarship. No, we played a school that doesn't offer scholarships, athletic scholarships, excuse me, and it wasn't even close. That's the thing. Against Kentucky Wesleyan was at least supposed to be close. Against Alma, supposed to be close. Both of those weren't even close. And what are we doing here? And I read with what's going on and the student body and at least the opinions of everyone around me. And no, we're not happy at all. And I don't see us winning a game for the rest of the year. We're not beating Ferris. We're not beating Wayne State. We're definitely not beating Michigan Tech again for like the 15th time in a row. We're going to lose to our in-state rival again. Like, there's no hope in sight. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And it is at least, and I'm just going to come out here and say it. I think we should get a new coaching staff. And whether or not someone talks to me about what I say today or not, we're going to see how things go, for the rest of the year. Now, you might be asking, hey, why don't I talk about what I'm talking about against the basketball team, the volleyball team, the soccer team? Because they win games.
And championships. Right? I'm hard on those teams when they lose. But I'm not this hard on them because they don't win this badly. You mean lose?
That's what I said.
You said win this badly.
Oh, well.
We'd like them to win this badly.
I would like to win. I would love to not be saying what I'm saying right now. But what I'm saying is, now, actually, let me back up for a second, because one of the reasons why Jack and I love to do what we're doing right now is especially, to reflect the sentiment of the student body, right? Like, what is the student body thinking about what we put out there for everyone to see and, to the public, right? And obviously hold back the irrational thinkers and doers and sayers, because, the internet is going to be a thing. You're going to have those irrational people just say whatever they want to say. We're holding those people back. But for everybody else, right, one of the things that we love to do is obviously express our opinions with no filter. I mean, with the exception to breaking FCC guidelines, but that's a whole other discussion. And yeah, I think that's where we're at right now, is the student body, the rest of the students just want something to change. Like, what are we doing at when we go to your games? Like, right. Should we go to your games? Like, we feel like we're wasting our time.
Exactly. I think you've made
go right ahead,
here, Jack. So I'm going to make mine.
Yes. Yes,
a lot
please.
Of similar points, though. I have a good friend of mine. I love them a lot. They are a really big optimist, though, a very charismatic person. I tend to be a pessimist. I tend to be a little less outgoing, whatever. We had a conversation about the team. I left after the first half when they were down 30-10 because I was like, this just simply isn't worth my time to watch. And we had a conversation after the game, and she was like, well, the team had some really great runs in the second half, and they looked a little better. And I said, well, they still lost big to a D3 team.
Yes.
I have been here for now about a year and a quarter, give or take, maybe a little less than that.
Yep.
Year and a fifth, maybe, year and a sixth, somewhere in there.
My 4th year here.
So you're in your 4th year here.
Yes.
But I've been here over a year. They have not won a single game since I got here. And the question I'm asking now is, will they win a single game in my entire time here? That's where I'm at.
And that's,
In
you're
4
not the only
years,
person. You're not the
Are
only
we going to
person.
win a game?
Yeah.
Really? Why am I even thinking that? How can you be that bad? Right? I think the NCAA record losing streak is like 40-something. But, like, we need to have a serious conversation about the fact that we are going to get at least a 20-game losing streak. If we don't get our coaching hire right next year, assuming the staff doesn't last, well, we may very well hit 30. And that's crazy. Like, I get it. NMU football hasn't been relevant since the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Fine. We haven't been good. I get that. That's fair. We aren't Ferris State. We aren't GVSU. We aren't Davenport. Fine. I don't expect a national championship. Heck, I don't expect a GLIAC championship. But we've lost, I want to say it's 11 or 12 times straight to Tech.
Yep.
We are obviously 0-15 since this coaching staff got here, which, by the way,
School record.
well, yes, a school record, but also looking into the bios of some of those coaches, the coaching hire was questionable even to start with. I don't know if I talked about it on air. Someone feel free to let me know if they remember, but I was against the coaching hire from the start.
Yep.
Because you got to get somebody that's had success, and he had not had success at his previous stops. And you're running an offense that you have said is proclaimed to be a pro-style offense, but it's more like an option run scheme that doesn't work. You're not Army, you're not Navy, and you're not Michigan. You can't do trick plays in the backfield and then run it for 70. You don't have Khalil Mullings, Blake Corum, or Hassan Haskins, okay? It doesn't work. You don't have a J.J. McCarthy.
Bell.
Right. You don't have guys that make electric plays, running backs that, are elusive or can power through. You just don't have that. You have a QB that I highly doubt would be a starter on a D3 roster, let alone should have any business starting for a D2 roster. I have maybe seen them make 2 deep throws the entire season that have been completed.
The rest either
intercepted or incomplete. So the passing game is just non-existent. For some reason, you refuse to short pass, and when you do, they drop it half the time, which is insane because how do you drop a 5-yard slam when you're wide open?
Yep.
You've got a running back who is, he gets a lot of yards, but at the same time, a lot of that's in garbage time, and your yards per carry is most definitely under 4, which if you're a run-first team, your yards per carry should be at least 4, let alone 5. You are completely one-dimensional, so teams can stack the box against you with absolutely 0 consequences.
Exactly.
Again, think Michigan, but if Michigan didn't have running backs that could avoid hits, right? You have players that walk around like they own the place, like they're national champions, and they haven't won a game. I'm like, if I were you, I'd be awfully quiet because you are winless. Winless since most of you got here.
Yes.
I believe most of the team is either freshmen or transfers or JUCOs, so it's their first year on this campus. But that's an excuse for maybe having a down year, but you can't really have a down year when you go from 0-11 to probably 0-11 and somehow worse. Somehow worse.
Yes.
You have a coaching staff that seems uninspired. I saw Alma on the sidelines looking at tape. I heard Alma players crap talking the student section, this university and this team, not really the university, but more so the team and our student section. We had away team fans walk past the student section and crap talk us because they can, because we're so bad that honestly we deserve all the hate that we're getting. Because, when you're losing that badly, I think at that time it was 30-10 at the half, and then they kind of took their foot off the gas in the second half, I think, out of respect.
They did score 2 touchdowns.
Well, they scored still, but the point is, it looked like, sure, the effort was still there, but they took their foot off the gas.
Yes.
They could have won that by 30, 40 more. The point is, right, when they're 30-10, you've got away team fans coming and talking to the student section and crap talking us because we are so bad and making fun of us. Which, as they should, we're 0-15 in the last 2 years. The hate is deserved. Right, you've got players that think they own the place, when in reality they should be being awfully humble because you haven't won a single game. And every year I see that, well, not every year. I've only been here for 2 homecomings, so maybe you can speak to this more. But last 2 years, I've gone to both homecoming games and left after the first half both years because it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, right, I'd get there, student section is full, but we're not loud because from the get-go, NMU immediately has given up a touchdown both years or just looked awful.
Yep.
So we're not loud. We're just kind of sitting there. All kudos to the band and the cheerleaders, by the way. I don't know how they do it for 4 quarters, week in and week out, because I sure couldn't. You've got the student section sitting there silently, not making a lot of noise because there's nothing to really make noise about. There was maybe a touchdown or 2 where I was like, wow, great job, guys, but it was more so, I think I honestly heard more booing than cheering from the student section, which is to be expected. But you have all these people, it's probably got to be at least 1,000 or 2,000 students, if not more, coming in there, having a good time with their friends, right? I don't think they really care about the football team anymore, right, because of the apathy. But they're there to watch the band or hang out with friends. Yes. Great. But by the time the halftime performance is done, those stands empty out quicker than a Walmart on Black Friday. I mean, there's nothing left.
Yes.
Nothing left, right? Everybody leaves. Except for the band and the cheerleaders and the dance team, right? Because they have to be there. But the student section gets empty because no one is willing to keep watching that team in the state that it's in. Because it's embarrassing. You go in I don't know, other than homecoming, why you would even want to watch an NMU football game or listen to it on the radio or whatever it is, you want to do, because it's just so bad. And you bring up the point that they had a whole offseason to fix it, and nothing has changed. The scheme is the same. The play calling is the same. Some players are different, but what they're running is the same. You've got, I believe his name is Jack Sertel, who's an All-American on the defensive side. If I'm not mistaken, there's also an All-American player on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
I have to double-check me on that. But when you have an All-American leader, I'm guessing he's the captain of the defense. Someone's going to have to quote me on that. But he is probably the leader of the defense at the very least, right? Because, an All-American is an accolade to be respected. And he led the GLIAC in tackles last year. So good for him. When we're crap talking the players, we are not talking about you, Jack Sertel. But
because it's not deserved.
Right. But the problem is
hard.
you have to scheme around your best players. And I get it. NMU is not a huge talent pool. I understand.
But neither is Alma.
Right. Neither is Alma. But also we don't need to recruit GVSU to be good because that's not the expectation. We just want to be average. You go 6-5 every year. Heck, you go 3-8 every year. I'll take it. At this point, I'll even take 2-9.
At least there's something. There's not a goose egg in the win column.
We just expect something. And when your best comeback to that as an optimist is we had some good runs and we kept it close against La Crosse, that doesn't matter. You could lose every game by 1. You're still losing. And that's not what we're doing, by the way. We've lost multiple games by 20,
by
30.
Multiple scores.
Right. Not even multiple scores, 4 or 5 scores in some cases.
In some cases. And that's what's going to be against Ferris.
Right. It's going to be blowout football.
Grand Valley.
What did they beat us by? 66-0 or something like that?
And that's
I think it was
a
record for points scored for them. That's ridiculous. And this year, they're a better football team than last year, and we're worse. Would you be surprised if they put up 70? 7-0?
Let me remind our viewers, we gave Michigan Tech's only conference win last year. Their only conference win, Michigan Tech's only football conference win was against us, and it was by a lot.
Yeah, we can look up the exact score in a minute. But I want to say it was by 40+, and I want to say we also got shut out. We definitely got shut out by Ferris or very close. Maybe some garbage time points. But I just want to go through. Let's look at games from last year, then we'll go to this year.
Sure.
But let's just go through some scores for you in the last year and a half. Because again, you can be optimistic and say we've kept it close, but have we really? Okay, first game of the year, 47-10 against Duluth on the road, and you played a bad, I'm not crap talking Lake Erie College, but Lake Erie College is not.
I was there, and there was they scored 21 unanswered points.
Right.
In the second half.
But my point is, okay, fine.
We couldn't do anything about it.
You had a close game, you lost by 3, but it's Lake Erie College, okay? They're bottom tier.
Their only win
Right.
That's their only win last year.
Right. Not only is it their only win, but they're bottom tier T3. Okay, so unacceptable.
No, they're D2.
Or I'm sorry, bottom tier D2, but
Yes.
still not great. Okay. Lacrosse is a D3 team that should
Homecoming.
be a D2 team
That was
on homecoming. And yeah, they probably should have won the D3 national championship. So fine, we should have lost that game. But 34-3 when it really could have been 50-3, no. Quincy, 45-27, another bottom feeder. Ferris State was 78-3, which was a team record in points scored. I think their biggest win differential and our biggest loss differential. Ridiculous. 28-12 against Davenport. Okay, we all saw that coming, but like still a two-score game.
But this next one,
62-0 against Michigan
a
Tech.
home game,
62-0 at home against our rivals. 62.
62.
That's got to be a record
That's
score
a
in that
basketball.
rivalry game.
That's like
that's a basketball
score.
Like, how do you let that happen? And you don't think that's going to happen again this year in Tech? I'd be shocked if we keep it within 50. Grand Valley put up 73.
They only allowed 14.
Right, and that was garbage time points. So
Yes.
again, you gave up 73. I don't care if you're playing the University of Michigan at home. 73? I mean, goodness.
Yes.
How? How are you that bad? Wayne State, 41. Again, Wayne State, a
41,
Giliac bottom feeder at home. Can't let that happen. This one might be the worst one of all, honestly, because Tech is a rivalry game and they're bad, but like Tech has crushed us for years, so you saw that coming. You saw the Grand Valley score coming, not to that level, but you saw it coming. And you saw Ferris State coming, not to that degree, but you knew those were coming. Then you play against Saginaw Valley State. I think they were a mid-tier GLIAC team, maybe like third or fourth place. So okay, but not great. And you lose 62-17 against that. And then your last game, which I actually had hope we'd win, which is hilarious.
Yeah, because it's
Northern State, right? Which I believe is a D3 team, but you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think they're a low-end D2 school.
So point is, they're practically a D3 team, which we are at this point too.
Yes.
And you lost 44-20. So your best game was against Lake Erie, where you lost by 3 and gave them your only win. What was our next best game? There was a 16-point game, a 24-point game, an 18-point game, 31, 37, 75, 62. Sorry, I'm doing some quick math on the fly, everybody. 59 and 20. Go back to the bottom for a minute.
Okay.
And 24. And then the last one was 45, okay? So that's embarrassing. Dom's doing some calculations, but the point is, you just heard from me how many points we lost. I guarantee you we gave up 400 or 500 points, if not more, on the season, okay? And yeah, we haven't given up 78 points or 73 points in a game, or 78 even, in a game this year, but it's still unacceptable. And as we finish the calculations, they gave up well over 500 points last year and averaged 49 points a game, 48.9 to be
allowed.
exact. How do you give up 7 touchdowns per game? 7.
Let me do the calculations.
To put that into perspective, okay, the best college offenses struggle to get those kind of numbers.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy. And there's really no hope from the student body or me or really anyone else that this year is going to be any better. I mean, are we going to hang our hats if we only scored 13 points per game, by the way. Are we going to hang our hats on us maybe losing by 40 instead of 50 against Grand Valley, by losing by only 30 or 40 to Tech? Like, that's what we're going to get excited about? Like, really? You lost 35-7 against Duluth. So pretty much the same, except you had it at home. So it should have been a little better. Kentucky Wesleyan was 33-13. Keep in mind, that's a missionary school.
Seminary.
Seminary. That's what I meant.
Methodist
a Methodist seminary school
of 500 students.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's 500 or 1,000. But the point is, it's a bunch of people trying to be pastors, and they just beat you. Bad.
Yes,
not even close.
I know.
Against a bunch of
my denomination.
Right, against a bunch of guys that are, I would argue at least, football players first, because NMU seems to to do that. But anyway, then you played lacrosse. Okay, congratulations. You only lost by 14. You had some luck. Lacrosse ain't a national championship contender this year. Okay, fine. 14 points. Still a 2-score game. Not great. And then Alma beat you by 17, but they could have beat you by 30 if they wanted to. And now you've got SVSU, which beat you by, I believe, almost 50 points last year. Yeah, 62-17. You're probably not going to lose 62-17, but like, are we going to hang our hats when we lose, I don't know, 47?
I don't know.
Like, there's just nothing. Nothing. I mean, maybe we get excited at the end of the season when they make a coaching change, but do we trust the athletic department to make the right moves?
Before you continue on, for anyone who is just joining us, we'll probably get some Michigan State lines more towards the end of the show. But if you are just joining us, this is WUPX 91.5 FM H1 Marquette. This is the Jack and Dom radio show. Sorry, Jack, I interrupted you, but keep on going. I interrupted you there.
No, it's like, I've got nothing against the coaches, like, as people, but they're clearly not getting the job done, and like anywhere else.
And the players, like,
right, and the players too. I
know some of the guys, like, they're good guys, but
yeah, but the players can't be fired, right? At any other job, if you are like, let's say your company, like, okay, treat NMU football like a company for a minute.
Okay.
Not that they aren't, because
we're shareholders.
They are kind of a profit-seeking entity, depending on how you see sports teams. But another conversation. So
profits meaning wins.
Sure, but also, investment in other things. It's a metaphor. Right. So let's assume for a minute NMU is a business. NMU historically, as far as football goes, is maybe slightly below average. Maybe average because you got a national championship and a few GLIAC titles. Or I think they were before the GLIAC existed, but like in the previous iteration of the GLIAC, okay? So you're average below average, right? But you get a new company CEO, new company management, all that stuff.
Yes.
The owner is the same, right? That's the university in this scenario. The owner is the same, but the company management is different. And the company management takes your average to slightly below average company and just runs it into the ground. Like, profits are at an all-time low. Like, use whatever metric you want to define absolute failure at a business level. Okay, there's nothing we can look at and go, well, that's good, right? The profit's bad. The shareholders are mad, right? People are pulling out their investments, literally and metaphorically. At any other job in the universe, you'd get canned.
Yes.
You would. I'm not trying to throw shade at the coaches. Again, I'm sure they're great individuals in person. I get that. But when I'm invested in this football team, and when students want to get invested in this football team, and they want to see a winning football team, and they want to go to homecoming games,
they want something with pride.
Right. They want to be proud of this team, and they want to go to homecoming and other home games and be excited and be loud and have fun and watch a product, even an average or below average product like previous iterations of NMU students were used to. They're not asking for much, right? The shareholders just want to break even at this point. We don't even care if we get profit. We just want to break even. We are so far in the red at this point. In my scenario,
is around the corner.
Right? Bankruptcy is around the corner. Like, there are people calling for this company to go out of business.
Yeah.
And while the university, metaphorically and literally, isn't going to entertain that, there's good reason to feel that way.
Yes.
And I don't know if new management, I'm sorry, I'm going to just finish this last bit.
Go ahead.
I don't know if new management is going to fix that. Like, I don't know. But keeping what you have isn't going to fix anything. Like, I don't know what it's going to take. Is another 70-point loss going to be enough? Are we going to wait till the end of the season and go winless? Is losing to Roosevelt the last straw? Like, where do we draw the line in the sand of enough is enough? We're going to go out and get somebody. Now, last little bit. I know we're not a marquee D2 program. But I also know that historically we're average to above average, and I also know that our athletic director has a ton of respect around the United States for not only being a championship-winning hockey coach,
multiple
right, with Michigan State and NMU, but also respected as an athletic director. And that's why we got a pretty solid hockey coach in here that I have a lot of faith in. And we got a lot of candidates for that job. I get the football job isn't attractive, but the expectations are low. The money is there, right? I'm not sure what our salary for our head coach is compared to other GLIAC teams, but I'd be surprised if it's not higher than a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right, not than Grand Valley, but I assume it's higher than Tech's. I'd assume it's higher than Roosevelt's, SVSU's, yada, yada. So there's money, there's a good athletic director, and there's incredibly low expectations, okay? Not the most attractive job, but I feel like if you really went out there and you offered a bag, not 10 million like Michigan, right? But like a generous salary, you could get somebody in here that could change the culture,
Yes.
right? You look at a team like Michigan State was good a while ago, so I don't know if it's a
Mark
great
D'Antoni,
example.
yeah.
But with Mark D'Antonio, you had about 15, 20 years of just extreme mediocrity at best.
Yeah,
You know,
I remember John
you
L.
beat-
Smith. And
Right. You beat Michigan
before,
like
yeah.
4 or 5 times in 20 years.
Not very
that's
good.
That's where all the little brother comments
Maybe like
originated.
Ohio State one
Right.
time.
For better or for worse, the little
No
brother
bowl
moniker
games.
was born. Yeah.
Almost no bowl
right.
games.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And yeah, Michigan State had more prior success than we do, and yeah, they're a bigger program. I get that.
Yes.
But they had 20 years of just awful, rotating door of coaches. And you brought a guy in that I don't think people thought Michigan State could get D'Antonio or Saban for that matter. I can't
Yeah.
remember what the order was, but I think Saban was
Nick
definitely the
Saban
catalyst.
was first. Nick Saban
Right.
was first.
Saban
in
was the
mid-90s.
catalyst.
Mark D'Antonio was one of the assistants, but then he worked for Jim Trussell, Ohio State.
Right, yeah.
And then did Cincinnati, and then came to
Right.
MSU.
My point is, though, that was a big pull for MSU, both Saban and him.
Yeah,
And that changed the culture, right?
he did.
And yeah, they trailed off when D'Antonio left, but they're
Sure.
back again because they've established, and I say this as a Michigan fan, they've established a winning culture.
Yes.
They brought somebody in that changed the culture, and they've reestablished their winning culture.
We can say this about the Lions.
Right, yeah, the Lions too
The Lions
brought
was
in
the
a
same
guy.
exact way.
Brought in a guy that changed the culture. It's doable. Lions were not an attractive job at that time. We were the worst team almost in the league. We didn't get the number 1 pick, but we were dang awfully close.
Rob Gronkowski announced his
Right.
retirement when he
Gronkowski
found
was
out
gonna
he was getting
retire.
traded.
Yeah. You had Patricia, who ran the team into the ground.
Oh.
Bob Quinn, who made maybe 2 good draft picks in 4 or 5 years and
Ugh.
ran that into the ground. Right? We were the laughingstock of the NFL
Yes.
for decades, but like that was a low
For
point.
generations.
Generations,
for
yeah. But that was a
generations.
low point.
Yes.
Because even the Cleveland Browns at that time had Baker and started to have some success.
Yes.
And looked like they were trending up. Now, they crashed and burned because they
They got rid of Baker.
got rid of
but
Baker
then-
and made some other massive mistakes
but
that I
then-
won't get into.
Yeah.
But the point is, Lions, Michigan State, there are other examples. I would even argue Michigan was in
Yeah.
a dumpster until they brought in Harbaugh.
Rich Rodriguez,
Right.
Brady Hope.
And Harbaugh
yeah,
was a big pull, by the way,
Yeah.
because Harbaugh could have gone anywhere he wanted, I think.
Harbaugh took a while, but he
Right.
got it there.
Harbaugh could have gone almost anywhere, and he said, I want to come
Yeah.
home. Right? So the point is, enemy was not Michigan, Michigan State, or the Lions. But if you bring in the right person, right, culture can change.
Yes, that's what we're trying to say.
So, go on.
Yeah, so okay. Yeah, my goodness, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, but yeah, it's possible. What we're trying to say is that it's possible. It's possible to get someone with winning culture. Now, to the athletic director, Rick, we all love you. No hate from us, but representing the student body. I don't know about donors. I don't know about alumni. I believe it's similar. You probably know more about their sentiment more than student body. I don't know. But coming from the heart, coming from the student body, you need to.
Make a change.
It is our opinion that you need to go to Coach Shane and either tell him either you need to go or this is your last year. We're going to look for someone else. Because that is for the student body, that's what we all want to tell you is that we believe that changes are here, hold on. I get up here. Yeah. But yeah, we believe that something needs to change, because even though we've not had a winning season since 2009, there was some pride, there was some hope, there was some progress. We even sent someone to the NFL, right? We sent someone to the NFL. That was something to be proud of. It's gone. Like I said, it's a black hole. The Superior Dome is the home of a black hole called the NMU football program, where dreams and hope and careers go to die. And light doesn't even escape.
I just want to mention something too. When you look at Coach Richardson's record prior to NMU, other than the fact that he went 0-11 last year, you had two defensive players, by the way, that were, they weren't All-Americans. That's my bad. All GLIAC.
Yes.
And Jack Sertel and Mitchell Larkin. And then we had a tight end and a fullback as well. But the point is, his previous job was UNC Pembroke.
North Carolina.
Correct. Right? He had 110-2 year. If you take that out of the equation, which you could argue is a fluke because none of his other seasons were good.
Yes.
He went 27-46 excluding that season. He had a great defensive unit, it says on here. Top 40, nation's top scoring defense, which, by the way, I'm wondering why NMU doesn't have that.
Isn't it because our defensive coordinator was the head coach of a football program that didn't win a single game in the last 3.5 years of their existence before they just went belly up?
Well, we'll get there in a minute, but that's probably part of the problem.
Like, come on.
I understand, right, that he had their potentially best season ever at Pembroke, where they got 10 wins in their first ever football playoff win. Okay, and they had some All-American players. Okay, great. You had one good year though. The rest was tough, and you got let go for a reason, right? 10 wins in 2016. You lasted 6 more years, right? Wasn't great after that. So that hire was questionable, and I think a lot of people were questioning that hire. But let's look at the defensive coordinator for a minute, because I know that was something you were talking about.
Now, let me be clear. I would love to meet with these guys. We probably go out to Buffalo Wild Wings and, eat some food, have a beer, talk about football. We are not saying we think these are horrible people, but
we're just disappointed.
There are no results.
We're just disappointed by the results.
Yes.
It's just
anyway, I interrupted you. Yeah, what were you
saying? I think my point is clear here. The coaching staff is not doing what they need to do, and so it's time for a change. The student body, I think, is pretty unanimous on that.
Yes.
I don't have insight into donors, but I would think when you're this bad, donors are going to have something to say, right? A lot of funds go to that team, and clearly they're not being utilized appropriately.
Football's not cheap.
No, and I think
it's not cheap to maintain. It's work.
I think it's time. I think there's not much else to be said. I just think it's time for a change.
Yes.
I think we can end it there and move on to some happier things like college football, but that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I think you end it there. I don't want to be like Mike Valenti. I mean, I follow him. I don't want to pretend to be him and just scream in the microphone saying, make plays. I can't fake that. I'm not that kind of guy. To rage into a microphone, not stutter at all, and just, do what he did. I'm not him. I'm not going to pretend to be him. But the feeling is the same. You guys need to go out and make plays. You guys need to, coaches need to put their players in good spots, right? And need to have winning culture, because whether you think you have a winning culture, whether you think you're doing something right, you're not, because the receipts that are coming out have failure on every single one of them. Loss again and again and again. Something's not working. You may be working hard, but it ain't working.
More like working hard or hardly working.
Well, I mean, that's what
the product on the field looks like.
But
the effort I'm sure is there, but I don't see it on the field.
Yes.
right? I see dropped routine passes.
Yes.
Runs that get stuffed in the backfield because the offensive line doesn't hold their blocks or move upfield too early. A quarterback that throws errant passes left and right? There's just a plethora of issues.
Yes.
And like as students, we really don't.
The confidence is gone.
Right, of course. We just don't.
Sure.
We just don't know how to feel.
Well, anyway, we'll take a few minutes for some other topics, but
I want to bring up
and then
one thing.
Oh, sure. Or maybe we'll just bring, because it's almost 6:50. We'll just talk about your Lions and Michigan State next week. Probably bring us a lot more happier stuff to talk about. But yeah, go right ahead.
I just got this email actually as the show started. They just released tickets for the Great Lakes Invitational that we are in. I want to say Grand Rapids. So that is really exciting. The Van Andel Arena.
Okay.
Where we will play against Michigan State at 7 p.m.
Are you talking about the basketball game?
No.
Oh,
the Hockey Invitational in
because tickets are out are in sale for that too.
Correct.
But they might be sold out already.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
But this one is our December hockey game.
Okay, that's cool.
Although I think it's going to be quite expensive because obviously it's not here at MU. It's in, I think, Grand Rapids. So, if you can go to that, great. I might not. It's a significant trip. But just a cool opportunity. Those tickets just came out if anyone is interested. But I want to take the last, 3-4 minutes and just do a super fast rundown, kind of like they do on Pardon the Interruption when they're out of time.
Sure.
Let's go. Michigan State first.
Michigan State played a close game. It was supposed to be a farther game in the sense that Boston College was supposed to be had more points on them. But yeah. They got the lead with very little time left on the clock, and then Michigan State couldn't respond. I think this kind of reflects that Michigan State is knocking out the rust from the first two games. We'll see how the season goes. Obviously, it's a loss, but it does show that Michigan State is slightly higher, maybe a little bit higher than where they were projected to be.
I would say that, but
that being said, we have no chance against Ohio State.
No, you've got Ohio State and Oregon coming up next. You're going to end up being 3-3 through 6.
Yes.
But, I say Boston College is a good team. They are they're in the ACC, so it's really hard to give them a metric.
Sure.
So you beat an okay team.
All right, Michigan. What happened to Michigan?
Michigan, I was literally hitting the wall, hitting the bed. I was so angry with Michigan's inability. Then all of a sudden,
I had the game on my phone at a wedding.
It's 3rd and 1, and I'm like, okay, we'll get the first down, but we don't got the time. Nope. Khalil Mullings does one of the best spinning out of a tackles I've ever seen at any level in the sport of football, which, if you haven't watched it, Dom, you included, I would get that clip and watch it because it is one of the best individual plays I've ever seen. Gets us within the goal line, 4th and goal, he punches it in. So Donovan Edwards is being relegated running back 2 because Michigan just beat an extremely quality USC team and passed for, you guessed it, 32 yards.
Yeah.
So that was great. And the Lions with a narrow win against a solid Arizona team. Seems the defense is taking control now. If that offense locks in by December, January, we may very well be one of the best, if not the best teams in the NFL, right? The defense has been there. The offense has not. If the offense can get things together and maybe put up a 28 to 30 points per game, if Goff can play a little bit better, he's been kind of shaky.
He got about 200 yards for 18 to 23 passes.
If our play calling could be better, especially in the second half, I think we could potentially make a run to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But the offense has got to be better. The play calling has not been there. But the defense has held 3 quality offenses to, I believe it's 20 points or less. Maybe it's 28 points or less. But either way, 3 very good offenses. Impressive. All right, so good news on the Michigan State, and Lions front. Not great news on the NMU front.
No.
Anything else from you?
Our potential win that we could have against Roosevelt is now looking smaller and smaller. Unlikely because Yep. Because Roosevelt nearly beat an FCS team last Saturday. So yeah, that's why our demeanor has changed regarding all this. But that being said, this is the Jack and Dom radio show. I hope we don't have to do this again. If so, far in the future.
We will after the Roosevelt game.
Yeah, maybe. But we love all you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But by the way, we'll be here hopefully next week. And yeah, this is WUPX 91.5 FM HD1 Marquette. We will see you guys next week.